Basketball is back, and you can be part of the action every night playing one-day fantasy basketball at DraftKings. Choose from public contests with big cash prizes or private contests with friends. They've even got beginner and casual contests, too. Use code JALEN at DraftKings.com now and play free with your first deposit for your share of $10,000 in total prizes tonight. That's JALEN to play for free with your first deposit, only at DraftKings. The game inside the game. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose,
the guy that bombed on Family Feud.
I'm David Jacoby,
the superstar of the program Family Feud.
And we are a team named Jalen and Jacoby. What do?
We get the people what they want.
Some people just can't perform under the bright lights. You know what I mean? Sometimes when the stage gets bigger, some people get bigger, some people shrink.
I know.
We know who you are.
I know. In the championship game, that's for the outlet.
We know who you are. We know who you are. The MLB playoffs is taking us off radio. So we're just on television, but we're not just going to do 22 minutes of content for the people because we give the people what they want. We do exclusive podcast only for our podcast listeners, our favorite listeners.
No doubt. Ride or die. Yep. I can't think of a day since we've done this, and this is just a shout to the people, that I haven't been walking down the street or in public where somebody hasn't shouted, give the people what they want, or a signature thing that they've gotten from our show.
My son gets confused. He's 4, and he just doesn't understand. He's like, why are these people saying give the people what they want to you? I don't understand what's happening. And I don't really fully want to explain it because it would take 10 minutes, and I'm just like, don't worry about it.
And then sometimes it's embarrassing, but you love it.
Of course.
You know, walking down the street, holding wifey hand.
Because there's
got
also
people at the light rolling down the window.
There's also people that say, I watch your show all the time. So, oh, you're down, but you've been down for a year and a half.
Yes.
You know, and then there's people that say, I listen to your show all the time. It's like, oh, you've known me for 6 years now.
Well, just the other day, like I said,
you know me before I had kids.
This is a real story. Walking down the street, holding wifey hand, having a nice dinner. A couple of gentlemen in the car, they pull up at a light. They're like, Jalen, we agree you should wash your hands before you use the bathroom.
I like that they had a conversation about it first. You know, they're like, I was listening to Jalen Jacoby yesterday, and Jalen suggested that you should wash your hands before you use the bathroom. And you know you stole that from me, right?
Well,
because I have a theory that what you urinate from is part of basically the cleanest part of your body because it never sees the light of day. You know what I mean? So it's the cleanest part of your body.
I steal a lot of things from you.
Yeah, I know, but that's all good. I steal a lot of things from you. I steal a lot of things from you.
That's easy. That's easy.
It's
It's gone.
And other shows steal a lot of things from this show too. That's just how it works. There's no such thing as an original idea.
It's a lot of Mr. Me Too's.
Once it's on wax, it's available. That's all I have to say. But our podcast listeners know where they heard it first. Adam Silver talking about 1 through 16 seeding.
Right. Seriously,
all of a sudden, it's a news story.
For 6 years.
It's a news story now.
Broken news.
It's a news story now.
Breaking news. To Jalen and Jacoby listeners, it's broken
Adam Silver,
news.
by the way, watches the program.
He loves the program,
night.
but he can't say he likes it because some of the things we say, you know what I mean? Like, he can't tell his friends he loves Jalen and Jacoby.
Correct.
But it's like his guilty pleasure.
You can't tell me he's not in the NBA office. Is talking about, is that a soft move or a boss move?
No, he's in the NBA office. He's like, I love what they did in the starters. I love what they're doing on the jump. But he doesn't mention Jalen and Jacoby because he knows this is just
that's his guilty pleasure.
This is guilty pleasure. Yep. Astros fans got exactly what they want after they beat the Red Sox. In the locker room, they put a new twist on the champagne shower. Astros outfielder Josh Reddick getting doused while wearing an American flag Speedo. I did actual research on this topic. He's worn an American flag Speedo through various different playoff series. This is a tradition for him. I really hope that he wears an American flag Speedo under every outfit for the rest of his life.
Only thing was missing in that footage is banned in the USA. I appreciate great champagning and campaigning, as anybody that's followed this program will attest to. For
popularize the term.
Multiple years that we've been on. I, as the great American philosopher David Jacoby once said, appreciate a great celebration because
I love celebrations.
People don't celebrate
enough.
And when you beat the Boston Red Sox and you advance in the playoffs, there's no better way to celebrate than something that's original. And I appreciate that.
If you win the ALCS next, I need an American flag thong on him. I need an American flag thong on you, Josh.
I'll tell you what, if they win the World Series, he's going to be naked.
I'll tell you what, one thing I know is every night before bed, Adam Silver.
You pray to a Larry Bird poster.
Every night, can I finish the setup, please? Every night before bed, Adam Silver drinks a mint chocolate chip milkshake while he watches Jalen and Jacoby.
No question.
And I know this because here is what he had to say about the potential of reseeding the playoffs 1 through 16. Quote, reformatting the playoffs is something we'll continue to look at. I think, though, it would require revisiting the regular season schedule as well. As I've said before, we don't play a balanced schedule now, as I'm sure you know. He went on to say, and our feeling is, if we are going to seed 1 through 16, we would need to play a balanced schedule to make it fair for everyone if we're going to seed the playoffs 1 through 16. Yep. Jalen.
Yes, sir.
How long is this going to take? It's going to take a while.
It doesn't have to. And
it does.
I normally don't work hard or do any research, but I'm writing down something because I want to get this right.
So you spent 3 seconds on it. Okay.
Yeah,
that's more than you've done in the past.
No
so
question.
Take what you can get.
So since he clearly watches this program and we've talked
every
about
night, the
1 through 16 format being changed forever, I want to take it a step further.
Okay.
I want to graduate the idea. I don't want to just come with the idea. I'm going to actually lay it out on the table.
Not be part of the problem, be part of the solution.
No question. So you can make the season, and again, I want to make sure I get this right, around 75 or 76 games.
Okay. Seems like we're headed that direction.
Overall.
Okay.
Play teams in your division 4 times.
Oh, no. Do I have to do math?
Play teams in your conference 3 times. Play teams from the other conference twice.
Oh, no.
That gets you around the number I just said. So a couple of things can now happen.
I'm sure your math is wrong.
The best 16 teams actually perform in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike this season, 17, 18, when they're going to be 2, possibly 3 teams in the Eastern Conference. We're going to be talking about them fighting for the playoffs, but they're going to all be under 500.
Yep.
And we're going to have 8 or 9 teams in the West over 500. And a couple of those squads are going to be watching the playoffs.
I think we'll get to a place where the schedule is fully balanced. You play the other teams. There is no conferences. The conferences are just on paper for organization, but you play every team an equal amount of times or something like that with a rotating schedule. That's where we're going to end up. But let me pitch where we can go before that.
Okay.
Right now, you've got 8 teams from the West, 8 teams from the East. Why don't you reseed those teams? So you still qualify for the playoffs the same, but you reseed those teams 1 through 16. So you can have the number 1 seed from the West, number 2 seed from the West, number 3 seed from the Eastern Conference. Why not do that before we get there?
You can do that, but for the integrity of the schedule is why that won't initially take place, because to your point,
it's easier to get wins if you're in the Eastern Conference.
That team from the East is going to play against that level of competition 50 plus times. And so if they are set 6 seed, they got a chance to fatten up their record versus so many squads that are below 500 playing in that conference versus the Western Conference where the competition is
But here's the thing.
Every night.
Do you really want to see the Western Conference Finals be just say the Rockets and the Warriors, and then the next night the Eastern Conference Finals is like the Celtics and the Wizards? It just seems imbalanced to me the way it's currently structured. So if you reseeded those teams 1 through 16, you could have a more balanced team, and as you got deeper into the playoffs, you would truly have the best teams there.
We're going there, and we see that happen in hockey. They reseed after different rounds.
I think they should do that in NBA too.
But that won't take place in the league until what we just described takes place first. It's going to be a domino effect. See, the one thing Adam Silver has gotten correct, unlike Roger Goodell, you don't see players barking at the commissioner about him doing a poor job.
No.
And so when he's going to institute this, he's going to double down. It's not going to just be, here's 1 through 16. It's going to be also
less games. Here's the travel. Here's the balance.
Correct.
And here's everything. Because he knows what's going on. He's already seeded that he's going to do this, and he is going to do this, just a matter of time.
And one more thing. He's going to say, yes, I'm taking away a handful of games, but guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a big check for us to play games internationally.
Yeah, exactly. It's owners, I know you're upset with this. I know I'm taking $10 million out of your pocket, but here's ways that we're going to increase that with incremental revenue streams to put that $10 million back in your pocket.
Because just look at it like this. For the most part, and this has become the ceiling for the NFL, and I've joked about this a lot. When you pull up at a light and the NBA is a Lamborghini and the NFL is a
Don't say it, Jalen. You said it already on Wax. Don't say it.
A van.
Yes, a van.
Okay. One of the things is the globalization of the game, not only through the players who have become a melting pot throughout rosters in the NBA. Unlike the NFL, most of those players are American-born. Mm-hmm. And so now you have the opportunity in the NBA to play in various countries where people from those countries
NBA is like,
participate in the
you
league.
guys want London? You want that tiny little country in Europe? That's fine. We'll take Asia. We'll take the whole continent of Asia.
No question.
Let's move on. Joel Embiid.
That's a nice shirt.
Has agreed to a 5-year, $148 million contract.
Keep getting them checks.
This is interesting to me. One thing that's interesting to me is this is, according to Zach Lowe, say it,
Get low.
the most complicated contract in the history of the NBA. So there's all sorts of performance and incentive-related things in here. Basically, they're like, look, if you get hurt, we're not on the hook for $148 million. But they didn't need to do this now. Like, they could have waited until he was a restricted free agent at the end of next year and basically given him the exact same deal. Why did they do this now instead of at the end of the year after they've seen him play?
Caught up in the hype. What ends up happening is when you have a terrific offseason, you draft Markelle Fultz. You see Ben Simmons is returning. Yep. Joel Embiid just got cleared to play 5-on-5 a week ago. Not too distant in memory, he was just jogging in downtown Philadelphia
in the middle of the night.
But he wasn't practicing with the squad. I welcome everybody getting their bread. Oh, and by the way, Joel, you're going to be with the team 6 more years, not 5, as he tweeted. 5 more years, you actually have 6.
It's like the extension, Joe. It's the extension on top of your contract now.
Got it. So with that being said, I don't do this deal now.
I don't do this deal either.
I know that you said it's incentive-laden, and I get the fact that it's going to be based on games played, which injuries take place. Is he a terrific young talent? Absolutely. I've covered a kid in college. Turns over both shoulders. On the post, defensive-minded.
Yeah, 7 feet tall, shimmy
really
and shoot a jumper.
Yeah. Can shoot the 3. Terrific personality, which is why that has exceeded the Philadelphia 76ers' productivity. We've taken this flag and called trust the process, and we've ran with it.
Time to cash those checks.
No question. And so with that being said, I understand why you want to do this. I don't know why you do it at this point.
You can wait until he's a restricted free agent. The exact same deal's on the table. No one else can pay him more, and you can match anything that anybody else has.
And I hope he has a long career, but usually players at that size that have had multiple foot surgeries, that have had knee injuries, so many things happen to their lower extremities. How about this? His first 3 seasons in the NBA, he played 31 games. Greg Oden played more games.
51 more games
in his first 3
years.
81 games.
He's had a lot of problems with his low extremities. One is which he's keep trying to introduce Rihanna to one of his.
Fantasy sports just got a lot easier to play and win with the hottest new games by Dober.Games. No more long lineups or complicated salary caps. Create at least 3 matchups and you're good to go. Make any combination of matchups you want. Play all quarterbacks this week, receivers next week. Even make picks across multiple sports. Just pick 3 matchups to win cash prizes. Dober.Games is one of the fastest, easiest ways to play daily fantasy sports. That's Dober.Games. Dober.Games. Use promo code HOOPS to enter a free contest with cash prizes just for joining. You can win cash fast, easy at Dober.Games. Sign up right now at Dober.Games. Use promo code HOOPS to enter a free contest with cash prizes just for joining. Void where prohibited. See site for restrictions. Must be of legal age in your state or area. Fantasy sports just got a whole lot easier to play. Play big, win bigger at Dober.Games.
Jalen Rose.
What up, though?
You are not just a great basketball analyst.
Thank you.
You are the world's leading senior statue analyst. There's a new sports statue to analyze. Are you ready for it?
And I took a trip to Italy. Took mad pictures.
Darrell Revis.
Of multiple.
Darrell Revis. This is not vacation sharing time.
I'm glad.
This is we have a rundown, we prepare the show, and you just Darrell Revis it every time.
I'm glad you brought him up, and they call this a segue. Because here's a player that 2 years ago was starting for the New England Patriots and won a Super Bowl. At this point, he's not playing in the NFL.
You done?
I think so.
Jalen Rose, you are not just a great basketball analyst. You are the world's leading statue analyst, ESPN senior statue analyst Jalen Anthony Rose. There's a new statue for you to analyze. Peyton Manning was enshrined outside in Indianapolis. This statue, while kind of boring, very effective, much like the career of Peyton Manning. I like this statue. What do you think as the senior statue analyst?
First off, Peyton Manning's career wasn't boring.
It was, but yes, it was.
No, it was not.
His play is kind of boring.
Not at all. When you
we disagree.
Amongst the
Move
league
on.
leaders,
We disagree.
all-time wins. You're a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Back to the statue, Mr. Senior Statue Analyst. I like the color. I like that it was colorized.
I love the statue. It was well done. It's deserved. It got overshadowed a lot that day because Mike Pence went to the game and decided to leave whilst not appreciating the fact that players chose in one way, shape, or form to protest.
Who would have ever thought that was going to happen, though, on the way to the game? Who would have ever thought that was going to happen? I'm sure he was blindsided by that.
Oh, and by the way, when you get up and leave the game because somebody else is doing something you don't like, guess what that's called? A protest.
Great statue analysis. There's a lot of talk as we prepare for the NBA season about these exciting young rookies, Fultz and Simmons, and we're going to get Lonzo Ball and the Lakers. But there's a flip side to this list of names that's not dominating the headlines. It's players that were replaced by these rookies. There are players, prominent players, that you love, that you watch their entire NBA careers. And I say entire NBA careers because they are now no longer getting NBA checks. So we're just going to read a list of players that are right now not on rosters. Are you ready?
I am. And the reason why this fascinates me is because a lot of times the goal and the dream obviously is to make it to the NBA, and people clearly celebrate that opportunity. But man, it comes and goes so fast. And in the NBA, 20% of the people that were in the game last year won't be this year.
A lot of these players are 2 years away from starting on teams. Are you ready?
Talk about job turnover.
Chris Anderson, Matt Barnes.
What happened to that
Mike
board?
Miller, Louis Scola, Meta World Peace, Mike Dunleavy, Boris Diaw, David Lee, Sasa Vujacic, Darren Williams, Brandon Bass, Thiago Splitter, Monta Ellis, Norris Cole, Roy Hibbert, Spencer Hawes, Gerald Henderson, Jordan Hill, Ty Lawson, Festus Ezeli, Brandon Jennings, Derek Williams, Jared Sullinger, and Michigan's Trey Burke. All of those players are no longer on NBA teams.
Think of the math. 30 players will get drafted in the first round, guaranteed contracts, so they're automatically on the squad.
They're on rosters, so 30 got to go.
And then you have the second round, another 30 players that you hope when you take somebody in the second round, they could possibly make the squad.
They don't all make the team, though.
So say 50%.
Sure, so you got 45 new spots.
That's every year. That's right off the top.
That's 10% of the league.
No question. And then you have the international prospects who come into the league.
They got stashed, and now they're coming in.
No question. And people that were playing overseas and whatnot.
So 1 out of 9 players doesn't have a job next year. And then they have these new two-way contracts. There's 60 new two-way contracts where you basically get paid $75,000 a year, but you get NBA money once you play in the NBA games.
And I'm glad you brought up the fact that a couple of these players were starting and or playing quality minutes on teams recently. It shows you the strict job turnover that takes place not only in professional sports, but in particular in the NBA, where there are only 30 teams, 15 roster spots, 450 jobs.
And we all remember the Kobe Bryant farewell tour and like the Tim Duncan retirement and like, Paul Pierce and these players that are celebrated on the way out. But on this list of players are players that had great careers, players that went deep into playoffs. Some of these players have championships and they don't get celebrated. They're just gone.
I have a distinction. This is why I always talk about the score of the game and the game of life. The players in particular, the ones that get over 30, that's a successful career. I know a lot of people sit at home on their couches and they overanalyze players at the end of rosters and think, I could take his spot. No, you can't. No. And so for a guy to play until he's 30 usually means you've played at least 5 seasons, if not more. And so for a player like Chris Anderson and Matt Barnes and Mike Miller, they had a really good career.
You look at Trey Burke, Jared Sullinger, Brandon Jennings. Like the other side of that is like, I thought Brandon Jennings was going to be in the league for a little bit.
That's the other side of that. But here's the other part. I like to acknowledge these names because there is a chance, whether injury or performance, a lot of these guys can't end up back in the league this year.
Yes, a lot of these guys are in gyms working out with agents on the phone, uploading videos to Instagram. But there's one thing you said that I just need to discuss. You know who one of those guys is that's on the couch looking at the end of rosters and saying, I could take his spot? Do you know who one of those people is?
Who?
Jalen Anthony Rose. Don't lie. I've been right on that couch next to you. I've seen it happen.
It depends on who's handling the ball. Somebody's going to do all of the work like Russell or LeBron and get me a corner three. I got to hit that. If I got to do any work or get in a defensive stance or take a charge, not going to be able to do it.
Before you're playing defense and hitting corner threes, you got to work on just getting up and down the court, Jay. Come on, man. You got to work on getting up and down the court.
Running ain't the problem. Stopping is. Jumping ain't the problem. The aches and pains when you land are.
You ain't jumping.
Are you hiring? Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to over 100 job sites with just one click. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you, it finds them. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, listeners to this podcast can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/30 for 30.
Jalen Rose, not everything is worth discussing in the world of sports and pop culture, so we play Keep It Moving. If it is worth discussing, you ask me to hit the brakes. If it is not, Method Man tells us to keep it moving. First, Ty Lue has named Dwayne Wade as a starter.
Broken news. Keep it moving. No surprises at all. Future Hall of Famer.
I don't know if you noticed. I know you're very busy. But Michigan lost at home to Michigan State, and the Lions lost at home to the Panthers.
You want to go there, and the Giants are 0-5. Wasn't a nice weekend at the house.
The Knicks got their first jersey sponsor.
Hit the brakes. I like when the league gets more money.
The Knicks are going to have a jersey sponsor, and it's an interesting name. Squarespace. They are just further distancing themselves from Phil Jackson. They're like, no, we're not running the triangle. We're only squares around here. They probably took less money just to have a dig at Phil.
And hey, they got a theme song. Tina Marie, Square Biz.
Last night, during the Bears-Viking game, something very interesting happened.
Mike Ditka.
Nothing to do with Mike Ditka. Nothing to do with Mitchell Trubisky.
Mike Ditka.
The Star Wars trailer was released. Keep it moving and hit the brakes.
Teammate, hit the brakes.
It looked very exciting. It looks like Kylo and Rey are either going to come together or switch sides. Who knows who's going dark and who's light? Luke doesn't want to train Rey. It's very interesting.
Did you just take a Cialis or Viagra?
No.
You're enthusiastic.
Let's keep it moving.
We be moving, keep it moving.
Rajon Rondo was diagnosed with a sports hernia.
Hate to see vets get injured. Keep it moving.
Can I just say one thing real quick? I had a hernia. You know what my hernia doctor said?
You did.
I had surgery for it. You know what the doctor said? No such thing as a sports hernia.
What?
That's just, you just add sports to anything and make it sound cool. Moving on.
We be moving, keep it moving.
A gentleman in Pittsburgh called in a bomb threat to a restaurant.
Hit the brakes.
A gentleman named Barry Clapperton was at Primanti Brothers restaurant. He may have had a couple. Time to pay the bill. He didn't want to pay the bill. So he tried to leave multiple times. The police got involved. And then right while the police are there, turns out there was a bomb threat called into a neighboring restaurant. Guess who called in the bomb threat?
The same gentleman?
Barry Clapperton.
What?
He admitted to it later.
So when he was confronted by the police and they got the bomb threat, they left the scene?
That was what he was looking for, I think. I think he wanted the police to come to a neighboring restaurant and cause such a distraction that he could then sneak out. This just seems like a not very well thought through plan.
I know what this seems like. You just throw me a lob.
Failed test?
He clearly wasn't black.
No. Let's move on. Dirk Nowitzki had a little trouble backpedaling on defense. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Champion, legend, future Hall of Famer.
Deserves a statue.
Oh, he'll get a statue.
In Dallas.
Mark's going to put himself in the statue. You know that, right?
And you're going to see him as a member of the Dallas Cowboys on the sideline in uniform.
Can we watch
day.
the video?
Nope.
Okay. Donald Penn almost fought a fan in the parking lot.
Hit the brakes. Because Donald Penn is a big boy. He plays for the Raiders.
He's a real big boy. This gets a little more interesting. Now, you know I don't do too much research. I don't have too many facts on this stuff. But what turns out is we all saw the video. Fans yelling at Donald Penn. They had just lost. And Donald Penn gets out of his car, confronts the fan. There's security everywhere, so we know nothing's not really going to happen.
Hold me back!
But then it turns out that this fan, like one of his friends, released some information that he had actually been planning this. This was a premeditated, I'm going to get Donald Penn to beat me up plan.
This is exactly why I stopped responding to trolls on Twitter. When I would go and click their page and they're cheering the fact that I responded to their message as opposed to feeling some type of way that they sent the message.
We get the people what they want. Part of getting the people what they want is opening up our voicemail line. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. Tomorrow is Wednesday, which means what, Jalen Rose?
Women Crush Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, we celebrate the women in our lives and around the world.
And I must say, just like when things happen, a lot of times scenarios become fads. So we didn't need Cam Newton to degrade women at a press conference to start a Women Crush Wednesday. We didn't need my sister, our family member, Jamel Hill, to get suspended by the company that we love.
The president is writing diss tracks about Jamel Hill. The president is writing diss tracks about Jamel Hill.
And I got to tell him something, though.
Who?
When you're talking about multimedia and you type Mike,
M-I-K-E,
it's actually M-I-C.
It's short for microphone. It's short for microphone. It's short for microphone. It's not short for Michael. It's not short for Michael. You know? Does he think I'm talking to a Michael right now?
And don't try to act like he was doing a pun between Mike and Jamel.
No.
Not gonna be able to do it.
No. There's I love that the president's writing diss tracks about Jamel Hill.
I love the fact that he's clearly watching our program. We knew Mike Pence was watching it. After Ted Cruz tweeted us, but now we know they all watch it.
I don't think they do, Jalen.
You don't think 45 watching?
I don't think so.
You think he knows that I call him Commander in tweets?
I don't think so, Jay. Let's move on. Ladies, we need you to call in and leave voicemail.
Ladies!
If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us voicemails. If you leave us voicemails, we'll play them on the show. Ladies, call in, leave voicemails. We need your voicemails for tomorrow when we celebrate women. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Hey, Jalen Jacoby. I've been listening to the podcast for a long time. You can probably tell by my accent, I'm from England originally, but I've just moved to Long Island. I'm going to be here for 3 years. My question is, over the next 3 years, who should I be supporting? The Brooklyn Nets or the New York Knicks? I'd love to hear your opinion. Keep popping the trunk.
Ooh, okay.
That's an easy question.
Knicks tape all day.
You got to go with the team that got the best player.
Jared Jack?
And the last time I checked, Kristaps Porzingis plays for the Knicks.
Yeah. I would support the Knicks for this reason.
D'Angelo Russell going to have a big year.
I think so. Yeah. I would support the Knicks for this reason. Here's what you do. Gentleman who didn't identify himself from England.
Shout out.
You get on the Long Island Railroad. They let you drink beers on the Long Island Railroad. Don't forget that. So that's allowed. You can take the Long Island Railroad to 34th Street. You can get out. You can go to the world's most famous arena. In my opinion, the greatest place to watch a professional basketball game in this country.
And I say this respectfully as a retired player. When you are in the opposing jersey, like I was multiple years for the Indiana Pacers, and it was Hicks versus Knicks, you also come up with eternal names that are inflammatory for the Knicks and for their arena. You want me to share one with you?
Sure.
We used to call it the world's most filthy arena.
It's not. You know what? It's not a brand new building. It's not. New York City is not a clean, perfect. Like a European city where everything's clean and there's no crime and you don't even see police anywhere and everyone's polite to each other. That's not New York City's appeal.
No question. We were just eating at a fine dining establishment.
Really?
Big check, big plates. Big mice on the floor, too.
Really?
Absolutely.
Here's the thing. If you live in the tri-state area, you don't want to live above a restaurant. Nope. You see a lot of these restaurants, and now when you see a restaurant in Manhattan, look above it, and there's like 5 families that live above that restaurant, and those houses are full of roaches and mice.
Another thing, and by the way, we're talking about New York because we love it so much. Another unique thing about the city that never sleeps, garbage gets real tall on the street.
I love New York City so much. I love it so much. I miss Mobadanga. Thank you so much for the call. Don't forget, ladies, call in, leave voicemails. Tomorrow's Women Crush Wednesday, so if you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. Now I am going to our tweets. This is from Mad Jim Jaspers. Hey, Jalen and Jacoby, do you play any video games? And don't be fake. If you do, cool. If you don't, if not, don't pretend. I don't play video games.
So I'll be 100.
I'll play FIFA. That's it.
Well, that's a game.
But I haven't played it in 3 years. Like, action speaks louder than words.
You actually do play a game.
Oh, Golden Tee. Oh, good point.
Come on, man. Don't lie to the people.
Oh, my God,
That's
Jalen,
your
thank you.
favorite pastime, sir.
I play Golden Tee so much. I'm so good at
I'm
Golden
your
Tee.
wife away from home. You see
I'm
that?
so good at Golden Tee, Jalen. It's embarrassing. Like, there's a while where you're proud of how good
now
you are at it.
Excited that I remind you of something that you
there's
like.
There's a while where you're proud of how good you are at Golden Tee. And then it gets like you get a little too good and it gets embarrassing. Like if I play with some homeboys, they're like, what's going on? What happened to you? Is everything okay at home? Why are you so good at this game?
So my video game lineage is as much a part of my history as my love for music. So as long as I can remember, I play video games from Atari 2600, Atari 5200, in television with my Uncle Paramore, rest in peace. Horse racing game was crazy, and baseball was awesome. ColecoVision, had to blow in the cartridge multiple times to play the double dribble. Shoot the corner 3 all day. Oh, that was Nintendo when you had to blow in the cartridge. And then put a cartridge on top of a cartridge. And blowing it for 30 minutes, then it finally worked. And then I started playing...
Professional basketball?
No, it was more. PlayStation.
I understand the evolution of video game consoles, Mr. Rose, but you do not play video games anymore.
And then once I got to Chicago, as a member of the Bulls, I had a young daughter. I was like, I'm officially retired now. It's just I didn't have the time to do it because it's a whole thing. If you're going to play NBA Live or Madden.
You got to get good at it, get competitive. Now you can go online. Karl Anthony Towns was streaming on Twitch himself, playing some game I've never seen before, running around trying to shoot fictional people, just streaming himself. And people do that now. You can just watch me watch a video game. It's like probably 1,000 people watching Karl Anthony Towns play a video game for an hour and a half.
And how about the popularity of video games? And the NBA has skyrocketed so much. When you look at the new John Madden commercial, it's 2 NBA players, CP3 and James Harden. You don't think there are 1,300 NFL players sitting around
looking calling their agent and be like, what? I mean, it's not only like you don't have recognizable NFL players. There's not as many, but they're recognizable NFL players that are out there.
Well, the unique thing, and I say this because it's fact, the player that has been able to secure multiple endorsements. The black player that's secured the most endorsements currently seemingly on commercials, Odell Beckham, is injured now. Cam Newton lost the Dannon commercial. They gave it to Dak Prescott. And the white gentlemen that were featured in more commercials than others, J.J. Watt,
Aaron
out
Rodgers
for the year.
Comes to mind.
Gronk didn't play Sunday. And obviously, as you mentioned, Aaron Rodgers was in a truck commercial with a dog that I really like.
Oh, yeah?
I do.
Well, good. We have a dog question next. This is from Yak. How many dogs can you own until it's too many? I have 2 and I want to get a third, but wifey is not having it. This is a situational thing. I need more details. If you live in New York City or in an apartment, you can't have 3 dogs. If you have a house with a big yard, with a fence, and the dogs just run around outside all the time, then you can have 3 dogs. But another thing you can't have, something wifey doesn't approve.
Correct.
It's going to cause more problems. There's more downside than upside in that proposal.
And part of this is cultural, because
really
it is. Because I'm going to cut right to it. The cultural part is if they're sleeping in the bed.
Dogs don't sleep in the bed. Dogs can't sleep in the bed. I don't even let kids sleep in the bed. I'm not letting a dog sleep in the bed. If a kid can't sleep in the bed, dogs can't sleep in the bed.
It's happening more frequent, and please, our listeners, let Jacoby know this happens more than he truly realizes. The answer to this question is you can't
sleep in the bed.
Unless you're a breeder, like Big Boy from Outkast.
Yep.
2's the number.
2's the number.
Can't have more than 2.
You know who's got 3? Podfather. Podfather's got 3, but he's really got 2 in the possible.
Well,
like one of them's just
older.
One's older. Yeah,
Yes,
there's one in there. It's just like you're just there, just had a legacy.
But here's
your
the thing
grandfather
also,
did. Your podfather did.
I appreciated dog ownership more when you could walk the dog and didn't have to clean up after the dog. Once that
I know this
started,
is a sticking issue for you. I know this is very important to you.
To become a law, didn't have a dog anymore.
Great question from Teacher Bo coming up.
But I love South African Borbals.
That sounds dirty. Teacher Bo comes up. Says, soft move or boss move, living with your ex until the lease is up while having company that could be their replacement.
That's soft move.
You can't live with the ex. Nope. Y'all need to stay together until the lease is up. Just be like, look, I know we don't like each other. I know this ain't working, but we're going to fake be together for 3 more months until this lease is up.
Soft move. And I know people a lot of times get into relationships and there are external reasons why you stay together other than love, like the kids or finances, and their unique situations that we're not here to judge. But in a vacuum, not going to be able to do it.
Can't do that. Don't forget, ladies, call in and leave your voicemails.
Hey, ladies!
985-80-JALEN.
They need to stop the world on its axis right now and pay the WNBA players double their salary immediately.
Let's listen to another voicemail.
Hey, shout out. This is Cody out of Portland, Oregon. Thank you for giving the people what they want. It's your favorite part of my commute every day. But I had a quick question. Why can't we get enough about the Portland Trailblazers out here? You guys are always talking about the Cavs. We're always talking about the Warriors, which I appreciate. You guys are always giving the people what they want, putting it on wax with the predictions and everything, which I appreciate on some Nostradamus. I like that. But we need to talk about Portland. We need to talk about my boy Nurkic. We got Nurk fever up here in Portland, and he says he's bringing the bad boy. He's bringing the bad boy element here this year. So give me your thoughts on the bad boy Blazers. Thanks for giving people what they want. Have a great day.
Cody, thanks for the support. Appreciate the call. Big up to Portland, but hit the brakes. We give Dame Dollar plenty of love on this program. We played his rap songs. I've talked about the fact I rock his shoes that he sent me. CJ McCollum.
I like his new shoes. His new shoes are hot.
Now, CJ, he was a player. Again, I like having gems that I think are going to be players, and then once they become players, like everybody else kind of gravitate to
I didn't know he was
them.
going to turn into this, though.
I remember from the job interview that we did with Bill Simmons, the Podfather, on this very program, we sat, and he was not slated to be interviewed because he went to Lehigh, and they didn't know him clearly by name. I got a chance to see him play in college versus Holy Cross, but also didn't know his potential. And I looked at the list of players that we were going to interview. I said, we need to interview CJ McCollum.
He was great.
Because he can ball. And the first thing we said afterwards, forget basketball. He's going to be successful at life.
Yep. You could tell. Very mature young man. Good head on his shoulders.
And lo and behold, he's getting $100+ million to play basketball and average at 20 points. Lastly, Nurkic.
I like Nurkic.
I remember being in front of a microphone saying if he was playing versus the Golden State Warriors, they would not have gotten swept in the playoffs this past year because he can ball. He can score on the post. He's a really good passer. He grabs boards. He's now an anchor to the backcourt that we affectionately gave a nickname to a couple of years ago called
the Mama's Boys. Supposed to live with their moms, like Thurston Howell III. There's 15 people that got that reference, but they're very excited about it.
So we got love for them, no doubt about it. And I've seen a couple of personalities take the baton like Usain Bolt and run with the Mama's Boy name nationally, but you know you heard it first.
You're very sensitive about that.
I am, because it takes time to be creative.
I know, but my thing is like once the ideas are on wax and they're out there, they're just everybody's.
I know, but
they're not like your children. They're everybody's. You let them fly free.
I take pride in being creative.
It's like a zookeeper that raises a baby and then just releases it back to the wild.
No,
so it can be free and roam free.
Our animations and the visuals in our studio, and when Mr. Me Too's happen, they got to get called on the rug.
Reg is about to cause problems. So now I just want to say, Reg is about to cause problems.
Well, I'll say
with the staff.
I'll say this: we haven't had a call that said anything to Reg yet. I think that's going to change.
We'll see.
What up, though? It's your boy Jay, man. I'm calling from Charlotte, North Carolina. Yo, I got two quick questions. First of all, shout out to Reg. Also, shout out to Barron. And my question is Barron built, like, is he brolic? Every Barron I know, man, look like he can bench press or pew it. I got to ask that real quick.
That's it? Barron is brolic. Barron, we have the tallest staff in the history of television.
What up, though, Jay? Big shout to Charlotte.
We have the tallest staff in the history of television.
We do.
We really do.
You line up any podcast, 5-on-5, we handling that.
Yep. I think so. I think you'd probably be like the third best player on that team.
No question. I'll play set picks, get boards,
yell. Yeah.
He with us.
You'll psychologically dismantle the other team, though.
And by the way, Jay,
but you know, if we need
a dunk on you too.
If we need one bucket, it's going to you. I've been in those situations before. Jalen will get you a bucket. Thank you so much for the call, Jay. Let's go back to the tweets real quick. Here we are.
The two of us together.
Wait a second. I don't think this is a question to us. It's just Dave McMenamin.
Many men. Many men.
I don't know how this tweet got onto this sheet of paper. I think it's just Dave McMenamin just breaking news. But it got in front of me, so I'm going to say it. He says, Teron Lue says he has named Dwayne Wade his starting shooting guard to start the season. J.R. Smith will come off the bench.
Where's broken news when you need it? For those that follow this fine program, we talked all summer. We even did a countdown to when Dwayne Wade was going to join the Cavs. Like we were full banana boat all the way in. And we also discussed that there was a conversation that had to take place. And Dwayne Wade had zero to do with it, and neither did Tyronn Lue.
I just want to know how they broke it to JR.
It was LeBron James.
Pulling JR over, giving him some wine first. They're on the third bottle of wine. They're on the third bottle of wine at this point.
Hey, first off, he was like, you and Shump, y'all remember when y'all was in New York with Melo and Phil?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Both of them are gone.
Yeah, remember I signed you with Rich. How's that going for you?
No
that going good?
question.
Remember the president talking about you with the shirt off? And here's the thing is, LeBron is sipping his wine, and he's just pouring JR's glass full.
And JR like, you know what? I don't want that wine. I want something dark.
Yeah.
Don't play these games.
Yeah, the wine is for you. Wine is for you.
I see what you're doing here.
And then at some point he was like, JR, how's the family? You got the Dakota, she's good.
Absolutely.
So glad.
How's the wife? She's good.
And those checks are coming in, right?
Getting the same amount of money, regardless of the minutes you play.
And then the conversation transitions.
And here's the transition. How many shots you take last year? I took 8 or 9.
He averaged about 9 points.
Guess what? I'm going to get you the same amount of shots this year.
Oh, really?
No question. As a substitute.
And then he says, Dwayne's old. He's going to get hurt for a while.
There's nights he's not going to want to play.
Yeah. And he doesn't play defense, so we're going to need you on certain nights.
How many nights do you think the team is going to travel and Dwayne Wade and LeBron are either going to stay in Cleveland or Miami? What's the over-under?
If they're even around Miami. Like, they just be playing the Magic, they're going to go to Miami. They could be playing Atlanta, they're going to go to Miami.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
The Cavs are going to be in Dallas, and Dwayne Wade and LeBron are going to be in Miami.
Exactly. And every time they play the Magic, just look at the schedule. If it says Cleveland Magic on the road, you'll see them on South Beach the next day.
Dwayne Wade did a nice baseline reverse dunk in the preseason. Shout out to him and Gabby Union. Power couple. And I appreciate and applaud her strength and her honesty about opening up, about having 8 or 9 miscarriages.
That's crazy. You know what? Can I say something? People don't talk about miscarriages enough. Like, it's one of these things that people just don't talk about, and it's very, very prevalent. We were at the, when you get pregnant, you go see the doctor or whatever, and they warn you early on. I believe this was a fact. I don't have the research in front of me. There's something like, she's like, yeah, about 50% of, I don't know what the word is, of fertile people or whatever.
Fetus?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the word either. But 50% of pregnancies end up in miscarriages. Just to temper your expectations. And I was just like, wow. And it happens. Then when you get older, you hear about all your friends that have them. It's just not something that's spoken about enough as a society.
This is why
it's devastating.
One day a week isn't enough to honor the women of this world.
We only got 5 days.
They need 4 days.
Oh, okay.
And so I think here's what we're gonna do. And everybody, I know Reg's gonna love this.
So no, I'm gonna stop you right there. During the show is when you have all the ideas for the show. You know what I mean? You never have any ideas for the show before the show. You never have any ideas for after the show. This is not the production meeting, Jalen. You know what I mean? And then you say it, and then people are like, oh, how come we're not doing that? If you have an idea, you can put it through the appropriate channels, and we'll discuss it as a staff and a team, and then we'll plan for it, and then we'll enact it.
It took you 6 years to figure that out.
Yeah, and then you're just going to be like, here's what we're going to do. Let me tell you what we're going to do. Every single day, we're going to have a female guest for one segment, and then you're going to be like, all right, book the female guest, Jacoby. Staff.
Like text Annie.
Don't forget, ladies, call 985-80-JALEN. Leave us some voicemails.
Ladies.
We'll be back tomorrow as we are every single day, leaving you a dope pod to step to. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Nickel Package Podcast.
And don't forget to follow Jamel Hill on Twitter.
We'll be back tomorrow.
We're not done.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha 990. I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or